I was drunk, the kind of drunk where time stops working and gravity has its own opinion. The porch light behind me flickered like it was judging me. Music still thudded through the walls of Mia's house, and I could hear someone laughing too loud inside. Not my problem anymore. I stumbled down the driveway barefoot, my shoes dangling from my fingers, my phone somewhere in my purse, and my balance nowhere at all. A car pulled up fast, headlights flared. I flinched. It rolled to a stop a few feet away. Tinted windows, clean, quiet. Then the passenger side window slid down with a smooth whir.
You need a ride?
The voice wasn't young, calm, deep, measured. I squinted. Who?
I'm Mia's dad.
He said. I blinked. You don't look like her, Dad. He huffed something like a laugh.
Get in. I'll drive you home.
I should have said no. I should have called a cab. I should have done a lot of things. But the way he said it, like he was offering water, not a favor, made me move. I opened the door and slid in. The inside smelled like cedar and something clean. His coat was folded on the passenger seat, which he moved quickly into the back.
Seatbelt.
He said softly. I buckled it with fumbling hands. His fingers brushed mine for half a second, cold, steady. He drove in silence, not awkward, just quiet.
Where to?
He asked. I told him the street name, then added, third house on the right, red mailbox. He nodded.
You okay?
I shrugged. I've been worse. He didn't comment. I turned slightly toward him. You always come pick up drunk girls at your daughter's parties? His jaw tightened.
Number. But you didn't look like you had a plan. And you looked cold.
I wrapped my arms around myself, only then realizing I was shivering. You don't talk much, huh? I said.
Depends who I'm talking to.
Right now it's me. He glanced at me, eyes flicking over briefly before returning to the road.
Then I guess I don't talk much.
I smiled, more to myself than to him. The car turned down my street, slowed in front of my house. He stopped, shifted into park, didn't kill the engine.
You want me to walk you in?
He asked. Number, I'm good. He nodded once. I reached for the door handle.
Wait.
I turned. He pulled a small card from his wallet and handed it to me.
Just in case. If anything feels off, headache, nausea, whatever.
I took it. It had his name, Daniel. A phone number, that's all. You're a doctor?
Number engineer.
Why would I call you then? He met my eyes, held them.
Sometimes it's not about what you need, just about knowing someone's willing to answer.
I swallowed.
Good night, Claire.
He never asked my name, and yet, good night, I said. I watched his car pull away before I opened the door, and I held the card too tightly all the way up the steps. Stared at the card on my nightstand for 2 days, folded it, unfolded it, slid it between pages of a book I wasn't reading, then pulled it out again. His handwriting was simple, no flourishes, just Daniel and a number. But it hummed like a live wire. I told myself I'd call if I felt sick, but I wasn't sick. I was curious, restless, haunted, not by what he did, but by what he didn't. He didn't look at me like I was a drunk girl he was rescuing. He looked at me like I was a sentence he almost remembered, but hadn't read in years. So I called. It rang twice, then
Claire.
His voice was exactly the same. Calm, warm. You remembered my name.
You said it once. I don't forget easily.
I exhaled. I'm not calling because I'm sick.
I know.
Silence. Then I said, Can I see you? He didn't ask why. He just said.
Where are you?
He picked me up outside a bookstore downtown. I was already waiting on the curb, arms crossed, unsure what I was doing. When he pulled up, he didn't speak, just leaned across and opened the passenger door. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah, just needed air."
I know a place.
He drove without music. I didn't mind. 10 minutes later, we parked near the edge of the reservoir, under a thicket of pine. No one else around. The water looked black and silver in the dying light. We sat on a bench by the hood of the car. He offered me a coffee from the center console. I took it. "You always carry coffee?"
Only on days I expect to be found.
I sipped. "You expected me?" He didn't answer right away. Then,
Not expected. Hoped.
I didn't know what to say to that. So I looked at the water. "You don't seem like Mia's dad," I said.
What does that mean?
"I don't know. She's loud. You're not."
She takes after her mother.
"Where is she?"
Home, New Mexico. We separated 2 years ago.
"But she still calls you dad like everything's normal."
She needs it to be.
"And you?" He looked down.
I've stopped expecting normal.
Something about the way he said that made my chest ache.
I didn't call you because I was hungover, I said.
I know.
I called because of how you looked at me.
He turned, met my eyes.
How did I look at you?
Like I wasn't a mess.
You weren't.
I was.
I saw someone who needed quiet. That's all.
No,
I said.
you saw something. I felt it.
He didn't deny it.
I shouldn't have stayed that long, I whispered.
You shouldn't have walked alone.
But I did.
And I stopped.
We sat in silence again. Then I reached out slowly and touched his hand. He didn't pull away.
I don't want anything from you.
I said.
I just don't want to pretend.
He looked at me long and hard.
I'm not used to being seen, he said.
Then let me.
The wind moved the pine branches above us, and we stayed like that, not talking, not touching beyond what we already were, for a long, long time. After that night by the reservoir, we didn't speak for 4 days. Not because we were avoiding each other, but because some things are too fragile to touch again too soon. Then he texted me.
Still carrying coffee.
I replied.
Still hoping I'll need it.
He didn't answer. That night, I found myself walking to the cafe near campus just before closing, and there he was, sitting in the corner, half-shadowed with a mug in front of him and a second one waiting.
You knew I'd come, I said, sliding into the seat across from him.
He shrugged.
You like places with windows. I remembered.
I blinked.
You remembered that?
I remembered the things that matter.
For a long time, we just sipped coffee and watched the streets go dark. I told him about a professor I hated. He told me about a bridge design he'd worked on years ago. He described the way water bends under pressure, and I told him about how my voice shakes during presentations. I don't know why. I just did. It became a rhythm after that. Texts that weren't texts.
Rain again. Might be a bench night.
You still awake?
Reservoir's quiet today.
I started calling him first, sometimes late, sometimes not saying anything for whole minutes. Just silence, like we were both hiding from something loud. He never rushed me, never asked why. One night I asked.
Why do you answer?
He paused, then said.
Because I know what it's like not to be.
Another time I whispered.
It wasn't an accident that I called you.
And he replied, I know. The first time we sat in his truck and I didn't go home until morning. Nothing happened. We talked until 2 a.m. He reclined the seats. I curled up under his coat. He gave me the extra pillow he kept behind the seat.
I can drive you, he offered.
I don't want to go yet.
He nodded, said nothing. In the quiet, I asked,
What were you like before all this?
He thought for a long time.
Quieter, angrier, tired.
And now,
Less tired. Still quiet. Still angry. But it's not always about me anymore.
That made me smile.
I think I like you better now.
He glanced over.
You don't even know me.
Maybe not. But I know how I feel when I'm with you. That counts for something.
He turned the key in the ignition, just enough to hear the radio buzz, then turned it off again.
I don't want to hurt you, he said quietly.
Then don't.
We looked at each other in the half-dark. There was so much I could have said, but I didn't. Because that was the night I realized something simple and terrifying. He was the safest place I'd ever found. And I didn't want to leave, not even to protect myself. He started pulling away the next week. It wasn't abrupt. It wasn't cruel. It was surgical. The texts came later. The pauses were longer. Sometimes he didn't answer until the next day. When I did hear from him, his messages were clipped, polite, dry. I told myself he was busy, that he was tired, that maybe I was imagining it. But deep down, I knew he was retreating. So I gave him space for 2 days. On the third, I broke.
Is this you disappearing?
His reply came 4 hours later.
Number just thinking.
Thinking about what?
About what this is, what it isn't, what it can't be.
I stared at those words until the screen dimmed. I didn't respond. Instead, I walked, fast, aimless, around the block, through the park, into streets that smelled like wood smoke and wet asphalt. My heart beat, like I was being chased. I ended up outside his place. I didn't even remember deciding to go. His truck was there, lights off. I knocked. He opened the door in a plain black t-shirt and jeans. He looked tired.
Claire,
Don't say my name like that.
He stepped aside. I walked in. Books, coffee cup, a half-done crossword on the table. Everything exactly where it always was. Nothing out of place, except him.
I'm not going to pretend this is normal,
I said.
but you don't get to decide what it means to me.
I never said,
You're treating me like I did something wrong.
He exhaled slowly.
you didn't.
Then what is this?
He leaned against the counter, arms crossed.
You're Mia's friend. You're a kid.
I flinched like he'd slapped me.
You don't get to say that, I said.
Low.
I do. Because I have to live with this, and you…
Don't talk like I don't know what I'm doing. Don't you dare.
He closed his eyes.
It's not about you not knowing. It's about me knowing better.
I'm not asking for a ring, Daniel. I'm asking for the truth.
His face twisted. Something cracked.
I think about you more than I should. I wait for your voice at night. I check my phone like a goddamn teenager.
Then why push me away?
Because I'm terrified.
Silence slammed between us. I stepped forward. He didn't move.
I'm here, right now. No one knows. No one's watching. You can be honest.
His eyes searched mine. Then he whispered,
If I let this happen, I won't come back from it.
Maybe you're not supposed to.
He reached for me, hesitated, dropped his hand.
I don't trust myself around you.
Then trust me.
I'm twice your age.
You're not twice my heart.
Something broke in him then. He grabbed my face like he was drowning, and I was the last thing keeping him afloat. His mouth found mine, not tentative this time, not careful, just real. When we pulled apart, I didn't speak. I just pressed my forehead to his and breathed.
I wasn't supposed to love again, he said.
Then don't call it love, I whispered. Call it whatever keeps you from running.
We didn't sleep together that night. We just stayed, on the floor, on the rug, wrapped in silence and flannel and the heat of something dangerous and undeniable. I fell asleep against his chest. And for the first time in my life, I didn't dream of leaving. I dreamed of staying and waking up with him still there, Morning found us tangled and quiet. The light crept across his living room like it was afraid to wake us. My cheek was pressed against his chest, his hand resting over mine, loose, warm, like he'd fallen asleep that way and never let go. I didn't want to move, not just because it felt good or safe, but because the spell hadn't broken yet. We were still inside it. That rare sacred pause before the world reminds you who you're supposed to be. He stirred first. His fingers twitched. His breath deepened. And when his eyes opened, I saw it. The panic trying to push through the softness. But I spoke first.
You don't have to say anything.
He blinked, swallowed, nodded slowly. We stayed like that for a while, silent, still, real. Eventually, I sat up, pulled the blanket around my shoulders. He made coffee, didn't ask what I wanted, just handed me a mug the way you hand someone a familiar truth. We sat on the back steps, the chill biting at our ankles. The world had started again, but we hadn't joined it yet.
I've been thinking, he said, voice low.
I braced myself.
I'm not going to disappear.
I turned to him surprised.
You're not?
He shook his head.
You make me feel like I'm allowed to be someone I never got to be, and I don't want to let that go, even if I'm scared.
I stared at my coffee, then at him.
Then don't let go.
A bird landed on the fence. Neither of us moved. He reached for my hand, held it.
There's still the part where I'm Mia's dad.
He said.
I know.
There's the part where I don't know how to do this.
Neither do I.
He looked at me.
You're sure?
I didn't mean to stay, I said quietly. But I don't want to leave.
His thumb brushed across my knuckles.
Okay.
That night, I left only to change clothes. When I came back, he was waiting on the porch with a new book for me to borrow, and a second toothbrush already in the bathroom. He didn't say anything cheesy, didn't make a speech. He just opened the door and said,
You hungry?
And I stepped inside, still unsure of where this was going, but absolutely certain of where I belonged. Right here, with him. Not rescued, I'm not running, just home.